Hello and welcome to RaceStatsApp Analyser video. In this video I'm going to show you the incredible power that you have when you combine Bitfinder and Analyser together. We're going to break this video down into 5 parts. The first part is I'm going to show you how to export a strategy from Bitfinder into Analyser. Then I'm going to show you the top settings, how you can use the percentages back and lay, and how to set your odds range for each favorite. Video 3, our part 3, will be the filters and total by filter tabs. Part 4, total by year and the graph tabs. And finally, strategy builder tab and how to export to AutoBet. Okay, so let's get started. What I'm going to show you here is how to export from Bitfinder into Analyser. So here we are in Bitfinder. We've found something for the first of the first. So basically New Year's Day's races, which is happening tomorrow. I thought it'd be a good time to make this video so I can actually show you the results as at the end of the video. So what we have here, what I've found here in Bitfinder, is something that does pretty well over the last 5 years. Some ugly years in there, but nothing too bad compared to what we can make here. So, to take this strategy that I found and worked out, I now need to send it to Analyser. So I click here. Clicking it once will save the data to your memory. If you click it and then you can open up Analyser and it'll automatically load it. Or if you want to keep your Bitfinder tab open and have Analyser open, you just click it again and it'll automatically open Analyser and load everything from Bitfinder. So here we have it. We've taken all the data. So we've taken today, we're playing the first of the first. We have type set to mine. We're only playing handicap, chase, hurdles, etc. And we've got the years set, the rand set. We didn't choose any favorites, prices, anything else. That's all we've done, except we've done 5th to 9th favorite, and we've set those from 8 to 80. So basically, if the odds of 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th are between 8 and 80, a bet will be fired. Now we can look at this over the time, and we'll go into these tabs in more detail in the next part of the video. So that is the end of just showing you how to export from Bitfinder into Analyser. And hopefully this will be a good strategy to run tomorrow, and we can show you the results at the end of the video. So now we come to part 2 of the video, which is where I show you how you can use back BSP, back percentage, back fixed, and the same with lay percentage, lay back, lay BSP, lay fixed. So we're going to stick with the same data we imported a few seconds ago from Bitfinder. And we're going to try and do things like, let's have a look if we backed everything at 120% instead of BSP. So does everything get to 100? Doesn't do enough get to 120% to make it worthwhile? And we can have a look in here, and we can see a couple of years it did okay, but it caused a bit of a pain here. So what we'll do is we'll go back to say 150% and see if that makes it up. Okay, we're not getting anywhere there, so we can go back to back BSP. So we're betting at BSP, and we can see we've got all those winning years where we lose them if we go to back percentage. We can go back fixed, and now we know we're backing between 8 and 80. So really you can't be putting 100 in there. But, whoops, 100. So how many get to 100 and then go on to win? Looks like nothing. Oh, 1 year, one did. But basically, and in that year, 2 years it did. So we had 2 100 to 1 in running, but the rest of the time it would have been very costly. So here, this is what you can do here. Now we can turn back bet off, and then we can just say, okay, instead of backing these, what happens if we just lay them at percentage. Say we lay them all at 20% or 10% of their starting prices. What would happen? Okay, we're in for a bit of a loser there too. Say we laid them all at a fixed price of 150. How would we go there? Again, it's not something we can do. But that's how you use those. So you can have back and lay off, lay percentage, lay fixed, lay BSP. So what would happen if we laid all of those at BSP? Obviously, we're going to have lots of you losing years because these were all winning years, and the only losing year becomes a winning year. So that makes perfectly good sense. Okay, so that's how you use those. Now remember, these are not independent of each other. They will show you all the results. So if you have this set for a fixed back BSP of, say, 200%, 200%, and then you have a lay BSP of, say, 50%, it is not looking to say, okay, if that got to 200%, then see what happens to the lay. In other words, it's not reliant on that being taken before that's placed, and vice versa. They are completely independent of each other. Okay, what we might do one year is have the ability to say back to lay or lay to back, and then it will do only the ones that got matched here or only the ones that got matched here. But at the moment, they're completely independent. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is how you can set these. Okay, so if you've come in here and you've looked and you think, oh, I wonder if I could improve on that. So let's say if I just change that to 25s instead of 80. So you can double click there, type in 25, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, and Control V, and hit play. So that's how you can change the values of your odds, your minimums and maximums. Again, same here. If you want to look at others, you can do that too by just clicking in here and seeing if there's opportunity elsewhere. So let's take that, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control C, double click, Control V, double click, Control V, and hit play. Okay. And then you can see that. So let's change all these back to 80. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, and turn those two off again and hit play. Okay, so that's the top part explained to you. Now I'm going to go through the tabs. So now moving on to part 3 of the video. In this part of the video I want to show you how to use the filters. So basically these filters we imported from Bitfinder, but basically you can use all the same filters you have in Bitfinder you can use here. So I want to show you how you can tell what these filters did when you use them. So let's put 20% in there and say 80% in there. Let's put fave from 180 to 12 in there. And let's put maximum RAN of 12 in there. Whoops, not 1200. And let's say we do distance and we choose 2 miles all the way up to 3 miles. Okay, now to activate this distance filter, what we have to do is say, I want to just use mine. Okay, so whenever you change these here, you have to remember to say, I want to use them. Okay, so now we've done that, we can hit play. And then we can go into filter by total by filter, and then we can see what those filters did to us. Okay, so when we come down here, we were making 84p. Then we added the distance filter, and that went to 53. Then we added the type filter, it went back down to 39. Then we added RAN, and it went to 27. And then we added within the top 4 percentage, and it went to 20. So in this case, it went down, up, up, down. And here the 7th went from profitable to unprofitable and totals. So basically, when you're using your filters, you can come in here and see which ones work the best and which ones you should just get rid of again. So if we look at total by year now, we can see we've pretty well messed it up completely. So what we can do is come back in here, we'll turn the distance off, and we'll turn this off, and we'll go to 55 there again, and we'll just leave that filter on. And again, we can come in here and see what that did. So within top 4, it turned 426 into a 32, turned 69 and 57, and that. So that basically shows we went the wrong way with that filter. So if we went, say, the other way, say 0 to 50%, we can see what happens there when 12. Yeah. Okay, so we're still not improving things with that filter there. We'll have one more try at it, and we'll try it at, say, 50 to 100%. So basically, 4th favorite has to be between 50 and 100% of the favorite's price. And we can see we lost £12 here, lost here. So let's go into total by year now that we've done that and see what else we're finding out. Okay, so let's say if we wanted to be a bit cheaper, in other words, look at instead of having that big downside in 2016 of 31, if we went with that filter and just played 6th to 8th, okay, we don't make as much every other year, but we have reduced the risk in that year. So there are things you could learn by playing with those filters. Again, normally you'd do that in Bitfinder and then come and have a look in here at the graph to see what the highs and lows are for that strategy. So we're just going to stay with the 5th to 9th rather, and stay with the 40s, and also turn that filter off. Okay, on to the next part of the video. So in this part of the video, what we're going to do is just show you total by year and show you how to use the graph, or what the graph produces. As you know, we've been using total by year all the way through this video. It's probably the most common tab you're going to go to. But there's some things in here that you will need to know. Like, for example, in 2021, we lost 13 of the 5th favorite. So 5th favorite lost 13, won none. 6th favorite won, lost 11, won 1, etc. So if we're trying to work out how many bets we're going to have, what we can do is go through and add these up. So we've got 32, 56, 85, 115. So we're going to have 115 bets roughly, and we're going to hopefully win about 4 or more. So we can look at our downside and we'll know roughly what it's going to be what it's been for each year. And then we have a total for all years that we've played, that we've set, that we have in here. How many lost you played over the 7 years, how many you played, how many you lost, how many you won, and your total win percentages, right? So that's what the total by year does. And now we can go to graph. And it's going to be a pretty weird graph because we're only looking at one day. So, and that one day occurs on a different day every year. So that's why they're spread across. And even here you can see, even on the worst year where we lost, about 16, 17 pounds, 2015, 17 pounds. So when we lost 17, we still had a point where we were above 0. All the others go up. This one came down, and finally went up again. So that would have been good to stop at 25. All these others went well above 25, except this one, which never got above 25, but never got below 0 either. So that tells you where your highs and lows are going to be for the day. Now, before I leave here, I want to show you and tell you something about the graph. Okay, what we've done this year, let me reset everything. This will reset everything back to the plain facts, so weeks 1 to 53. Now, what we did, we allowed you to use 53 weeks. right? And this will show you what would you get with all 53 weeks with if you bet on everything, right? And you can have as many here in this part as you want, all right? But if I try and take all of that data into a graph, it'll time out for me. So if I'm going to have 53 weeks, I can't have multiple of these. I can have one or two of these, and the graph will work no problem for 53 weeks. Let me show you. So there you are. There's the whole 53 weeks with faves and seconds. So all the highs and lows. You can zoom in here and keep zooming in as far as you want to go, right into a day if you wanted to. Okay, and to set that back, all you have to do is turn it off and on, one of the years on off. Now, if I try and do all with everything turned on, then the graph will just time out because it's just trying to download. It's got to download every single point in that graph for the number that you've chosen, and then put them all together. So while we do allow you to have 53 weeks, be aware that you can't have all the runners. So you either have less runners and all years, or all weeks rather, or more runners and less weeks. So again, just be aware that you can time out if you try and get asked for too much data. But we thought it was better to give you the ability to be able to see the whole year than set it for a fixed period when it would always work for everything. Obviously, the amount you can see depends on the speed of your internet and the speed of your computer. So there's no fixed sum I can give you to say it'll time out if you do this. But that's where you are with graph. The fantastic thing about the graph is being able to tell your highs and lows. So if you see it's just got to a point where it just can't get any higher, then you know what's going to happen. And obviously, if it's got to the lowest point that it's ever been, you know it can only go one way. So coming up with a strategy for the day, the week, the month is maybe pushing it, but a day or a week, you can come in here and see where the lows are, where the highs have been, and be able to have a fairly good idea of what should happen next. Okay, now we come to the final section of this video, which is where you can make your strategy. Basically, I've set everything back to the way it was when I exported it from Bitfinder, and now I want to go in and build my strategy, right? So the strategy's already there. All I have to do is say how much do I have to back on each of those, how much do I want to put on each of those, or how do I want to bet them. So we have 5th, 6th, 7th. Notice as I'm doing these, it's automatically pulling in my range and the amount of the bet increment that I've got there. So I can go 8th and 9th. I'll turn those off for now. Now I can do BSP or fixed, right? So we're doing BSP for these. We can do it a percentage of BSP, and we can also do it for multiple percentages. So we can do 120%. We can do a lay at 12% or 10%. And we can change the increments that we bet at, the amount we bet at, by just clicking the up and down arrows here. And so we can basically have as many as we want for each runner, each favorite that we're playing. Now once we've got this all set up, let's just go through and do all these. Okay, so we've gone through and made all the bets the way we want them to be. So basically we're doing 3 on each at the moment. Now what will happen is if I leave that at that, hang on, let me just do a couple of more things here. If I had a top 4 percentage that I had set in Bitfinder and then imported, it would be in here. And if I had the favorite BSP, it would import that too. And if I had set the number of runners, it would import that. But because I have none of those, all of those are nice and blank. Now what I can also do is say, if my bank gets down to more than -40, stop. And if my bank gets over 25, stop. So I can export all that information too. Now the other thing I can do is say what I want to do, whether I wanted to do it at the off or if I wanted to do it at a time before the off. So if I wanted to do it 3 seconds to 60 seconds before the off, I could turn that to there, and that would allow me to use take BSP, right? So I could change that to take BSP, that to take BSP, right? But if I change this to at off, it will take the BSP, which is the same as saying I want 100%. So it's up to you how you want to play. Now, if you have it at the off, you're always going to be on the right runners. If you do it at before the off, even 3 seconds before the off, if the race runs late, your fifth can become fourth, your fifth, eighth can become 10th, etc. So there's a sort of trade-off as to accuracy, as to what you're going to be betting on and what prices you get. So when you're playing the outsiders, it's pretty safe to say you're going to get 85% in the UK anyway. Okay, so once we've done all that, we're 100% finished. All our bets are all set up. All we have to do now is save it. And we're done. We have a strategy that we can import into AutoBet. When I click save, it automatically saves it to where I have set in Google. And in my case, it goes to see users downloads. So if I go to downloads, there is that strategy there. Now I can rename it, and I'll call it New Year's Day 2022. Okay, so that's that done. So basically, whenever I save the strategy, it'll automatically save it to wherever I've set Google Chrome to save them to, and then I can go through and rename them, and then I can import it into AutoBet. That's it. That's how simple Strategy Builder is. So, easiest bot maker ever made.